Hi there, I'm Miriam and welcome to Miriam's Manor. For those of you joining me for the first time today, welcome to my channel. The content that I create is mostly about Christmas villaging and Christmas. I also do home decor as well as gardening, and I do have all of my videos separated out into playlists, which should make it easy for you to find the genre of video that you are looking for. For those of you used to hanging out with me, welcome back, family. You guys, today I have part 3 of the park scene tutorial that I have been working on. Now, at this point, I finally put this week the finishing touches on the last bit of this project. So I am super excited. It is 100% done. So I am going to go ahead and show you the section that I am working on today. Let me know what you think. All right, you guys, so today I am going to begin by applying a generous amount of regular white Elmer's glue to the base of this lake. I am taking a regular paintbrush, spreading it all along the bottom as well as up the sides of the walls to use this glue as a sealant for the styrofoam and an adhesive for the aluminum foil I am applying next. Now I am using pre-cut aluminum foil strips to act as a waterproof barrier for my resin. I am going to let this dry for several hours before I come back to it. Now, if you want to stop here, you are more than welcome to do so if you do not have any tears in your aluminum foil. I will be adding an additional plaster step as a safety net because this is a very large lake and I do not want any leaks whatsoever in this project. Now, on the top level of this piece, I did create a little barrier so that when I pour this top level, the resin will not spill over into the bottom level of the lake. All right, so I have my plaster roll, and I'm going to start off just by cutting this into pieces. I have my bowl of water, and I'm going to start right here in this section. So all you do is take your plaster strip, get the entire thing soaked in the bowl, and then just lay it out. Tuck everything in first, and then just begin to smooth it out. If you need to, re-wet your fingers to cover some of the holes that are still left in the gauze. I always put 2 layers of plaster down when I am making any type of water feature. This does start to set up in about 10 minutes, but I do allow a full like 2 to 3 hours to dry between coats, depending on how wet it still is when I come back and check it. All right, so I have my first layer of plaster on, and I also wanted to give you a closer up look of this so that you can see I have a little dam wall built up here so that when I pour the resin up here, it will not spill over. Now, I'm not concerned about this because I'm going to have a ton of rocks right here and things that will actually hide this line. And the water itself does a good job of hiding the line when you have all of the ripples and everything and the waterfall spilling over. So, but make sure you're building yourself up a dam wall when you are doing a 2-tiered lake. Both layers of plaster are now dry, and I did go ahead and add more stacked stone to this side of the lake as well as this side over here, and I wrapped it around this side and up the ramp as well. So now I am going to get ready to paint my lake. All right, so now it is time to paint, and I will be working with 2 brushes at the same time. This larger one I am using as my dry brush for blending. I am going to start with this Master's Touch Lake Blue, mixing it with some black, and I am also going to lighten it up with some white paint over time during the process. So I am laying out all 3 colors on my paper plate here so that I can just begin blending as needed. But again, I am going to start in the center with my darkest color first, which represents the deepest part of the lake, applying that, and then I am going to be working around the perimeter, going lighter and lighter towards the edges as I go. Now that I have two colors next to each other, I'm going to take my dry brush, blending the line so that it makes a smooth transition between the colors. I'm going to work and do this in sections so that the paint doesn't completely dry between both colors, and work my way around this entire lake. And here is what the final paint job looks like for the watercolor. All right, you guys, so I mentioned to you before that I was going to be adding some stacked stone up the sides of these walls in the lake. So for that reason, I am going to be painting the small ledge portion black. And it's the same reason as I did it on the retaining walls before. I want it to be a black surface behind there so you do not see any of those colors come through behind the retaining walls. So I'm going to very carefully paint the walls on the sides black. I'm going to be very careful to not get any into my blue lake. All of my layers of paint are now dry, so I'm going to take this outside, spray this with the sealant, let it completely dry before I move on to the next step. It is finally time to start adding my stacked stone pieces to this lake. I'm so excited for this part of the process. I have been waiting to do this in my mind since I saw the lake in Tacoma, Washington. So I am going to do this the exact same way you guys saw me do the retaining wall in part 2. So I won't bore you with all the details. For those of you who did not see part 2, I am using the styro goo from Hot Wire Foam Factory to apply these stacked stone pieces. I am just applying a small amount of adhesive. You only need a very small amount of this in order to make these things stick and stay in place. So I am going to begin the process on this, but I'll speed this part up so you guys don't have to see it all. Okay, so after days, you guys, literally, it took me about 4 days to cut all of these individual stone pieces for the stacked stone retaining walls here, here, and over there, as well as to make this border around the lake and the island. I have finally completed this, so now I am going to move on to making some rocks to go in this area here, and then I'll be ready to paint. So the footage that I actually recorded showing you how I made these rocks, you guys, did not turn out. It turns out I was completely off camera, so I am going to just record a separate video for you showing you how I made these rocks. Next, I am taking this Mod Podge to seal the stacked stone. Now, the reason I am doing this is because I do not want any of the styrofoam to soak up each layer of resin that I will be adding to this lake. So I am applying a generous layer of Mod Podge, and I am going to do this 3 times. I will make sure the Mod Podge is completely dry between layers, so this will take about 2 full days before I am ready to start painting all of my stacked stone. While I am waiting for the last layer of my Mod Podge to dry on the stacked stone in the lake, I'm going to go ahead and start painting the stacked stone on all of the retaining walls. I am starting with a dark gray paint, and I will use the tip of my brush only to lightly apply the paint to the stone. I have added a little more white paint to my existing gray mix and will apply the next layer with a slightly smaller brush. I am adding brown paint to this stacked stone to match my inspiration park, and I am using a very small amount of paint on my brush. I am applying the brown paint sporadically and just lightly dusting the stone and the rocks with the brown paint. Alright, so now that all of my layers of paint are dry, I'm going to take this Mod Podge one more time and seal the paint before I pour my resin in my lake. So I'm not going to really worry about doing this on the retaining walls, just in the lake portion. It has been a full 24 hours since my Mod Podge has dried, and now I'm just vacuuming out any dust, debris, and little particles that have fallen on the surface before I begin my next steps. So I have pulled some rocks from my yard yesterday. I've washed them all up. They are completely dry, and I am just going to arrange some of them in here and then glue them down once I figure out how I want them placed. I am also laying some small crushed gravel down around the perimeter of the lake. I picked this up from Hobby Lobby, where they sell all of the things for their dioramas. These smaller rocks I am not gluing down. The resin will hold them all in place. Okay, so I decided to move that cluster of rocks there in that space, and I filled in just a little bit of rocks in here, and now I am going to add my cattails. I got these from Hobby Lobby for $9.99, and it came with 2 packs of these. I am using this quick grip to apply the cattails. I did pick this glue up at Walmart. I think it was just like $3 or $4 for the bottle. As you can see by the tip, I have had it for quite some time. A little really does go a long way. Alright, so everything is set in place. I am going to wait for all of this glue to completely dry, and then I'm going to come back in about 8 or so hours and pour my resin. I am so excited, you guys. I finally get to pour my resin. I am using realistic water for this. Now, I am only going to pour 1/8 of an inch at a time. Please make sure you do not shake your bottle prior to pouring your resin. You will end up with a ton of bubbles. Now, in the past, you guys have seen me add food coloring to tint my water just a little bit. This time, I really didn't want to do that, so I am going to do a straight clear pour because I just want the color of my lake that I painted to really shine through for this particular park scene. So again, I am being careful just to pour 1/8 of an inch at a time to make sure that each layer has an opportunity to properly cure. So everything held up really nicely with me sealing the stones. So the first layer is now dry. I'm going to go ahead and pour the second layer of resin. And you can see how deep that is by looking at the discoloration of that rock right there. So I'm going to go ahead and do my second pour. By the way, if you notice any little bubbles in your resin right after you finish pouring it, at that time you can still pop those bubbles. You cannot pop it with a sharp object though. Just take a flame to it, a lighter or a torch, anything like that, and just put fire to that bubble and it will pop it right away. All right, so that wraps up part 3 of this tutorial. I think I will be able to wrap up the last part of this tutorial in just one more video. That is going to be my goal, and to get it released to you guys within the next couple of days. If you guys haven't done so already, please give me a big thumbs up for this video. I'd greatly appreciate it. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Click on that notification bell, you guys. I have loads of Christmas Village content that I will be posting in the very near future, as well as my Christmas decor. I am probably going to start decorating within the next 2 weeks. Yay! I am so excited. So Click on that notification bell so you guys don't miss all of those upcoming videos. You can also become a member of my channel by clicking on the link in the description box of this video. Your support is greatly appreciated. And for those of you who have already become members, thank you so very much. For those of you who are not aware, I am hosting the 2022 Christmas Village contest. We have some awesome sponsors. eHobbyTools.com, Max, as well as Hotwire Foam Factory have all submitted prizes for the first place winners in the 3 different categories. My goal is to have another Christmas Village contest announcement video put out to you guys by November 1st with all of the details. So hang tight for that information. In the meantime, if you guys have any questions for me, leave me a line in the comment section and I will get back with you. And until I see you again, stay safe. God bless you, and I will see you soon. Bye.